Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am one of your hosts, Ty Windish, joined on a pretty dreary Monday morning in Oshkosh. Don't know how it is in Milwaukee. Let's find out. My fantastic co-host, Rohan. How's it going, sir?
Doing well. It is pretty gray outside here too. I think it's supposed to be like the rainiest day of the summer.
It's been raining all since I've woken up. It's been raining here in Oshkosh, so it sure looks like it.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do have to go outside later today.
See, yeah, you'll be less of a fan then. Yeah,
less of a fan. If I just had to stay inside or had the option to stay inside all day, I'd love it.
Yeah.
I do not have that option today.
Big umbrella day for Rohan Kadi.
See, if I'm just walking from like a parking lot inside somewhere, I'm not taking an umbrella.
Depends on the severity of the rain. I used to be with
Not
you.
in my opinion.
I used to be with you. I had to walk from Pick and Save to my car in like a torrential downpour probably about a week ago now. I was actually soaked, and I really wish I'd had an umbrella. I didn't even know it was going to rain. I wouldn't have had one. But normally I'm like, yeah, I don't care. If I'm just walking a little bit, I don't need an umbrella.
Oh, I just keep one in my car.
Well, I was in the store. So I wouldn't have, even if I was prepared, I wouldn't have been able to have it. But my groceries were wet. It wasn't ideal.
That's fair. But it's just like, if it's such a short distance, I'm not going to bring it. Then I have to deal with the umbrella and I have to let it
might have blown away in this because it was pretty torrential. Anyway, we're talking about the weather. This is really Midwest of us, but we've got a packed...
Real off-season.
Yeah, real off-season too. Got a packed slate of content to discuss today. I guess we're making the content. We have news to discuss today. We're going to get to James Harden. Full disclosure, thankfully, we've been recording on Monday mornings in the off-season. And we didn't miss it. We are going to talk about it. So we'll get there. Got to save that for the end or we won't get to anything else because we'll be too busy laughing. FIBA World Cup is coming up. As longtime listeners know, we cover these events to some degree of intensity, not as much as Milwaukee Bucks games, of course, but there are two Milwaukee Bucks who are playing in the FIBA World Cup this year. Only two. As our first bit of news is Giannis is officially not able to play. He broke the news on Twitter in English and Greek, basically saying, he really wanted to play. Just couldn't do it. Yeah, read it out, please.
Okay, so this is from me. I'm actually reading this on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Not X.com.
Yeah, not X.com. Everyone knows my passion and love for my national team has and never will change. Since the conclusion of my NBA season, I have been pushing my body to the limits to be the player I need to be to help our team achieve the goals we set. But after months of work and multiple meetings with medical staff, it is clear that I am not ready to compete in the level that I need to be to participate in the World Cup. This was not a choice, but my only option in ensuring I get back to the level of basketball I have worked so hard to achieve so far in my career. I am extremely disappointed in this outcome, but this was a decision made with the medical staff. I'm going to continue to push myself to be ready for the next time my name is called. My personal and our ultimate team goal is to qualify for the 2024 Olympic Games, and it will be an honor to represent my national team next year.
So, real quick, it sucks Giannis can't play. I'm glad he's not playing after finally getting a knee scope for the first time, I think ever, at least that we've heard about. Despite that crazy 2021 injury and how precarious the situation was and everything else. Sucks, though. Feel for Giannis. Greece, I believe, has to be one of the best 2 or 3 European teams in this tournament to get an Olympic qualifier that way. Otherwise, they'll need to place high enough in tournaments they will not have Giannis for, which honestly, those tournaments may even work out better for Greece, to be honest. Not that having Giannis is bad for them, but the Greek players who play in Europe are most of the core of the team outside of Giannis and Thanasis Antetokounmpo. I don't think Kostas is even on the roster this year. I don't remember. I haven't seen him play at all in the bit of the friendlies I've caught so far for Greece. But I guess it wouldn't matter. He would be overseas anyway. So I think they'll still have a chance to do so. It's going to be really hard in this particular tournament, I think, because we know how good Europe is. But, Nikola Jokic is not playing. Who knows? Who knows what Greece could be capable of this summer. Kristaps might not play with Latvia. I mean, even if he's limited, that group, it's going to be hard for them to get out of. So the two Bucks then we have left playing are, of course, Giannis's older brother, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, who is playing a lot for Greece. I'm not sure if he's starting every game, but he's playing a pretty big role. He is a featured player on the Greek team. So for those of you like Rohan Kadi, who are huge TA fans, you'll want to catch some of these Greek games because he's doing a lot. He's guarding premier opposition players such as Luka Doncic. They will actually
and dominating.
Having good success. I will say this on TA. I think we'll talk about TA a lot the next month or so as we watch this. This has got to be his best chance since like his first year with the Bucks to earn a real role, right? Like
it is because there's a blank slate.
Yeah,
like with a new coach and Adrian Griffin, everyone is realistically on more or less equal footing when it comes to like setting the rotation.
Yep.
In Adrian Griffin's eyes. So yeah, TA has a chance to make a real impact, and one way to do that is impress on the court in whatever facet you can.
One of two Bucks players. One of only two Bucks players with this opportunity. The other one, Bobby Portis with Team USA. You know, I think we know Bobby's going to be playing a role no matter what as one of the few true bigs on the roster. But he's going
to be sticking his tongue out at KD and Draymond Green.
It's going to be fun to watch both of these teams. I'm actually really excited for this FIBA World Cup because I think we're going to get to see some Bucks players in different roles. I mean, we know Giannis is always going to be on the ball all the time, but seeing like real wing Thanasis on a bit of a smaller and I'd say probably more switchable Greek team. They still play Papagiannis a lot. He's a traditional center, but it's a lot of wings on that roster. So that's been pretty fun. And then, of course, Team USA, a whole new look Team USA, a lot of young players. Bobby Portis probably not factoring in as a starter, but should have some opportunity to play. I think the European game is actually well suited for Bobby Portis. Like being able to face up, score out of the post, like as 6'10", he's going to be one of the bigger players in the game at all time, able to score over opposing players. I think he could have some big moments for Team USA, to be honest with you. But it's a good team. I think people kind of underrate how good that roster is. Before we do schedules, we should probably do schedules and path forward, then expectations for the two teams. But first, what are your thoughts on Bobby and Team USA?
No, I agree. That face-up jumper is going to be hit at least 5 times a game when he's on the court. It will be shot at least 5 times a game when he's on the court.
Probably hit too. I mean,
he's a good shooter. Like he's proven to be thus far in his NBA career. It's trailed off a little bit, but so far in these exhibition games, he's been putting the ball in the basket.
Well, shorter 3-point line too, and hopefully lethal shooter did not make the trip to. I think they're in Abu Dhabi next. They were just somewhere else. They're
just in Spain.
The games themselves, I believe, are in the Philippines, New Zealand, and Japan.
Indonesia, I think.
Indonesia, thank you. So I was going to say something else. I forgot. But I'm excited to watch Bobby. So the two Bucks players are actually in the same group for the FIBA World Cup, which means they will be playing for sure in the group stage. They are also playing in the friendly stage. So, I was going to say, you can catch these games. The friendlies have just been kind of harder to find, especially in the U.S. so far.
They've been easier. They've been on national networks.
Not all the Greek ones.
Oh,
the USA
Greek
ones.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Let's focus on the star Milwaukee Buck playing Rohan. Let's focus on TA here. Yes, the two USA friendlies, there's 2 remaining. One is against Greece. That's going to be fun. I just going to throw this out there. I don't know if this works for you, Rohan. I think this is going to work for me to do a playback. I might just do a playback for the 5 people who would want to watch this.
Wait, when is it?
It's Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. U.S. Yeah. It might just be me. It might be me and one person. I might do it anyway. I'll see. I need to clarify some things about my schedule, but I am interested in that. I'm interested in watching that with the sickos. So I'd love to know people's interest level. Let me know in the GSPN Discord, which you can find along with all of our links at gspn.info. If you're in for Friday, this coming Friday, early or late morning playback USA Greece. So that's going to be on FS1. I believe it will be carried on playback as well. Like that's another thing I should find out before I promise this room, but I'm pretty sure they are. And then the other USA friendly remaining is against Germany. This is also 11 a.m. Central Time. This will be on Fox. This is Sunday, August 20th. So this coming Sunday, you can watch Team USA and Bobby Portis as well. And then, of course, we've already covered how you can find one of the Greek team friendlies. The other one, of course, also against Germany. I think that's probably the only 3 teams in Abu Dhabi right now. That is the in-between day. So that is August 19th. So that's this Saturday. I don't know what time. I don't know how to watch that. TBD on that. But that's actually a revenge game for Greece because Germany knocked them out of the last. Was that FIBA? No, was that Eurobasket of the last Eurobasket? Yes. Yep. So hopefully Greece can get some revenge. We did a pod
about how we hate Dennis Schroeder.
Still do.
Yep.
Team USA is undefeated so far, unsurprisingly. Probably will remain undefeated. They've played some pretty good teams. Slovenia, Spain, Puerto Rico.
Slovenia without Luka.
Yeah, did he just sit out?
Yeah,
because he played so many. That's pretty disappointing. Like, skip one of the Greece games, dude. No offense to Greece, but kind of disappointing.
A little bit, but also like, you know, why go all out? Because if you're playing the U.S., you're going to go all the way out.
That's true. I'm sure Germany's going to be sitting some people for one of these 2 friendlies as well, because why play a back-to-back that means nothing if you don't have to. So those are the remaining friendlies all this weekend for these teams. And then the actual basketball will start on August 25th is the overall, but neither the U.S. nor Greece plays then. They play Saturday, August 26th, when Greece takes on Jordan at 3:45 a.m., and the U.S. takes on New Zealand at 7:40 a.m. So now we can get into, I guess, the groups and why it matters. So those are, of course, the 4 teams in the Group C, which is what both the U.S. and Greece are in. The other 2 teams are Jordan and New Zealand. Neither have any NBA players. Greece just has Thanasis. The U.S., of course, has all NBA players. The top 2 teams...
That G League guy in the select team.
Did he actually make it on the team?
No,
on the select team. I was gonna say, wow, good for him. So the top 2 teams of each group make it through. So even without Giannis, Greece should really make it through to the second round of this thing. I mean, New Zealand, I think, is capable. Jordan is not a great basketball nation. At this point, maybe they'll prove the world wrong and beat Team USA. I wouldn't hold your breath. So I think Greece should have a pretty good shot to make it to the second round. Obviously, USA also will have a solid shot of making it through as well. You just have to finish top 2 in the group. And again, it's Greece, US, Jordan, and New Zealand. So starts on the 26th with Jordan, Greece, and USA, New Zealand. Then on Monday, August 28th, we have
the big matchup,
the big game, the second one of this summer, but the real actual counting Greece versus USA game, 7:40 a.m. Central Time. And then I believe, the other 2, New Zealand, Jordan play earlier that morning at, again, 3:45 a.m. If you're really into FIBA World Cup and you want to wake up and watch that game, power to you. I don't think you should. And then Wednesday,
or
August...
if you're in a different part of the world where you can actually watch it in normal time.
And if you have, I believe you can watch in the NBA app, but you still need the courtside 1891 pass to watch. I'm not totally clear on that. I know the games are in the NBA app, but I'm not sure. I don't know if League Pass gets you the games. I don't think so. I could be wrong. It's a little, as always with all things weird. FIBA, everything's a little weird, a little murky. They're putting a lot of things together here. And then finally, Wednesday, August 30th, Greece plays New Zealand at 7:40. If Greece has picked up a loss at that point, that could be a very big game. Or if New Zealand beats Jordan, that could theoretically be the deciding game for who makes it. And then early morning, 3:40 a.m. Central, USA Jordan. Again, if you're a huge Bobby Portis fan, he'll play a lot in this game. I don't think it's going to be a very competitive game.
We're going to get a lot of Walker Kessler in that game.
Yeah, that's true. I certainly agree. I agree with you. So, Rohan, what do you think? I've just been talking a lot, but do you think that Greece will make it out of this round?
Yes. I know technically, I think Jordan, are they ranked ahead of Greece?
I will check.
But the talent in terms of the actual raw talent, Greece is
no, they are not. No,
that's
they are
what
not.
I figured.
Jordan's FIBA World Rank is 33. Greece is 9. New Zealand is 26.
Yeah, this should be very, very easy for USA and Greece to advance.
USA is 2, by the way.
Because Spain is number 1.
Spain is number 1, yes.
Didn't they won like the last World Cup, didn't they?
I think they won the last Eurobasket.
Because the US didn't win the last World Cup.
I think they won the last one. Or was it the Olympics they won and they lost the World Cup?
I think they lost the World Cup, won the Olympics.
You may be right.
Fact check me while I talk.
I will.
But USA Greece, like this is pretty straightforward. Like New Zealand doesn't have any NBA talent. Jordan doesn't have any NBA talent.
You're correct.
Okay, cool. Greece does. They also have the experience of playing together, like with like this group of guys for a long time now. They actually have a continuation of the coaching staff in ADIDAS that they've had for the last couple of years now, ever since Eurobasket. There is some like this team is cohesive. They know how to play together somewhat, and the competition. Like, I'm sorry, Jordan and New Zealand. Like, I'm like no,
yeah.
like no, yeah. Like there's not like there's no one you've ever heard of on these rosters. Like,
if Greece doesn't make it, it's a huge disippointment. And I won't say that about the next round, but that's a huge disappointment.
I mean, a step to success. Excuse
me. You're wading into some water. So then, the way it works, kind of, I'm a little surprised by this. I would think you would reseed the whole thing or something.
That's not how they do it in the like FIFA World Cup either, though.
Yeah,
or like any groups, like the Olympics and basketball and football / soccer. This is how they do it, but the groups are just so weird in this, which makes it weird. But continue.
Well, yeah, because I think in the FIFA World Cup, it just feels like there's more overall competition throughout. Whereas in this one, I think there's what we're getting at is you're then kind of lumped together with the winners of the group next to you, and that's your new group for the second round of basically group play. So USA and whoever else comes out, we are hoping Greece, will be matched up with the top 2 teams of Group D, which consists of Egypt, Mexico, Montenegro, and Lithuania. Not an easy group. I mean, no. It's easy group.
Lithuania is the top dog.
Lithuania is actually rated above Greece right now at 8th, and I believe they also have some NBA players on the roster.
They've got the Bogdanoviches. Right?
They've got Jonas Valanciunas.
Oh, wait, I'm thinking of Croatia.
Yeah, they've got and then they also have Azolas Tubilis, who is apparently on the Sixers. One of the guys who just came over.
Maybe he's going to have a big role of the Sixers.
Maybe. Yeah, it might be an opening there. And then Montenegro has Nikola Vucevic, so clearly a talented player, especially in this level of basketball. So I think 2 pretty good teams. Mexico ranked 31 overall, Egypt ranked 55. So I think, again, this is one where you'd be pretty surprised if it's not Lithuania and Montenegro coming out of Group D. So then you get into a situation where it's going to be USA, hopefully Greece, Lithuania, Montenegro, and only the top 2 teams of that go on to the bracket. That's going to be tough for Greece without Giannis. I think certainly would be doable with Giannis, but those are just going to be really tough games. I think we'll have to see how Greece plays in the first group stage to get a real idea of if they can get through. But I think it's going to be pretty tough. I would imagine
those are going to be big Yorgos Papagiannis games.
Yes, yeah, against those bigger teams, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see, how if Greece can stretch out those teams enough with the perimeter play. Guys like Sloukas, who we watched before. Kalitzakis, yeah, the good one. Sorry, Yorgos. Was it Yorgos? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty entertaining. I think those games are going to be really like Greece, Montenegro, and Lithuania. If they make it through, those are going to be fascinating games. I would not anticipate any of these teams taking one off Team USA. I think I
could see it.
I'd be pretty surprised. I
mean, the one thing that this team kind of lacks, the U.S. team, is rim protection.
I mean, Jaren Jackson and Walker Kessler.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, let's talk Jaren Jackson, not Walker Kessler.
Yeah,
but it's like, I guess.
I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to walk through this, to be honest. I just don't think the overall talent. I think they did a good job pairing some good defensive players with like some really crafty scorers. I mean, you never know.
This is
things slow down a
lot.
Like
a lot of people are hating on this roster.
I think it's a good roster too.
I think it's a very good roster.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's younger guys, they're going to be bought in.
Mm-hmm. And like he's the old guy on the team. He's 28. Like it's crazy. There was a story. He was in an interview and he was like, "Oh, what are you excited to watch about like Anthony Edwards or something?" And he was like, Ant called me OG. Like, bro, I'm not 30. I'm not even 30 years old. And he's calling me OG.
Oh, where was his? Did you see his great quote when someone asked him about something being hard?
Yes.
Let me find. Like, I want the exact quote. I want the exact quote.
It was about. Is it hard adjusting to the FIBA rules?
Yes.
Different than the U.S. And he.
I have it. I've got
answer the question.
I've got it. So this is from Tim Reynolds on X.com. Quote, "Hard is not for me, man. Hard is for the single mom with 4 kids. This is what I do. Single mom struggling to provide for her kids. That's hard." I love Bobby.
I love Bobby. Great message. Like he understands. Like he gets it. He absolutely gets it. However, Bobby, like, is it difficult to translate?
Should ask difficult. Should have phrased the question better.
Yeah, that's on the interview, I guess. Because Bobby knows how to answer some questions. As we know,
Bobby,
we've had some contact with him.
Absolutely, Bobby. Listen, one thing Bobby's gonna do, he's gonna let you know he's a lunch pail player every time, and you know what?
God,
I appreciate it. I do too. Really excited to watch.
Perfect Milwaukee Buck.
Yeah, 100%. Getting out of.
Speaking of Bobby, by the way, it was incredible in the U.S.'s first exhibition game that we got Bobby chants in Vegas.
Yes,
incredible. So that's like it's fun to know because that stadium's not just filled with Bucks fans, to my knowledge. So it's fun to know that there's a lot of good. It translates.
It is fun to know that. All right, let's move on. We've got, so that's going to be Group J, is all the teams we talked about. There are some pretty unbalanced groups. So we've got Group A and B. So these are going to combine to be a group, just like, the US one and Greece, the ones we talked about. Group A, Angola, Dominican Republic, Philippines, Italy. Italy's walking through there. Italy's pretty good. The rest of these, not as much. Group B, South Sudan, Serbia, China, Puerto Rico.
Serbia's walking through that.
Yeah, but that's the problem is 2 other teams also have to come through. Or no, I guess only one does. So yeah, it's like Italy and Serbia, I mean, realistically should be able to walk to the bracket stage. Whereas we just talked about US, Greece, Lithuania, and Montenegro are all going to be fighting for those 2 spots. So that's why I think they didn't do a great job considering the second round situation of balancing these teams out. Because I think the one I just walked through is going to be the easiest for those 2 teams versus any other one. And it's not like the other ones are loaded, but like Group G is Iran, Spain, Cote d'Ivoire, Brazil. So Spain's doing brutal things in that group. But then they're going to be matched up with Group H, which is Canada, Latvia, Lebanon, and France. Group H is like, oh dear God, like good luck Latvia. Actually, Canada's the one. Canada always is the one that ends up. Oh, Canada's going to be so good. Yeah. They always are. They're not. My hot take: they're not making it out of Group H.
Really?
They always find a way. Latvia is going to get out. They're not. They always find a way to disappoint at these international tournaments.
That's fair. That is fair. Also, just a fun story that I hadn't really. I didn't realize South Sudan had made the World Cup. They are the first African team in basketball history to qualify for FIBA the World Cup in their first attempt.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Who's on this team?
No idea.
No one we know, I'm guessing, but wow, good for them.
Mm-hmm. So shout out South Sudan. I hope they get out of that.
Yeah, me too.
Group.
Do you know Kyle Anderson's playing for China?
I did know that. It's crazy. He's a Chinese citizen.
Yeah. But yeah, like Group E, Australia has a bunch of NBA players. Finland has Lauri Markkanen.
Did you see what the coach said about Ben Simmons?
No, but I'm sure it's funny.
He said, "I'm not going to beg him to come play." Like we can.
I wouldn't either. I would not either. Group E might be the most overall talented because Australia is good. Finland with Lauri Markkanen is going to be solid at least. We know Germany can play. Dennis Schroeder, Franz Wagner, and then Tyson Mo Wagner.
Mo Wagner too. Yeah.
Japan's got Yuta. I mean, that's not an easy out. I mean, they're probably the worst team in there. That's not an easy out. So I don't think this was.
Is Rui playing?
He's not listed.
Oh.
I'm on like the list of NBA players, and it's just Yuta for Japan.
Shame.
Yeah. But man, some of these groups are really tough. Some are very much not. So then it just goes to the bracket, and then it'll just be, we can look. We're not gonna look that far ahead right now. But suffice it to say, Greece is gonna have a really hard time getting to the final bracket. Team USA should walk there, and they're gonna see the likes of Italy and Serbia probably. I would imagine Spain and France end up getting there. Although again, that Group G plus H is gonna be really hard. There's kind of a vacuum though. With no Jokic out there, I think Slovenia is primed to make a run. Is Luka going to start his MVP NBA campaign by tearing through this tournament? Maybe. Oh, is Mamu? Is Mamu for Georgia? He is. So Mamu, former Buck, will also have a pretty good shot of getting to at least the second group stage. Georgia just needs to be better than Venezuela and Cape Verde, I'm guessing.
Yeah, these are these groups are crazy.
I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
like, how crazy. Is Spain, Latvia, Canada, Latvia, France in one? And then, I think some of it has to do with like the hosting and everything, but like, I don't want to watch Serbia play South Sudan, China, Mexico, and Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Oh, man. I hope South Sudan beats Germany.
I do too. That would be
not
incredible.
Germany, Serbia.
That would also be incredible.
It'd be tough to beat Germany when they're not in the same group.
Yeah. Well, imagine that's the final.
South Sudan versus Germany. What's okay, let's talk grand expectations here. Like,
yeah.
The US should win this, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Slovenia's got a shot. Spain and France always have a shot. Canada can prove me wrong, but I just feel like Canada always lets down on the stage, so I'm not going to give them, too much.
They look good though in friendlies.
They did.
Like Shea's on this team on another level. RJ's like all these young guys have sort of grown up now.
I agree.
Mostly just Shea. That's what I'm talking about. Not necessarily RJ, but like.
Yeah. I think they should be good. I mean, they probably will. This is probably an outdated take for me, but I think the U.S. should for sure win. I think they will have some real competition, but Jokic not playing is really tough because I think Serbia would have had a really good. Serbia is always good. They're still going to be good.
And Greece with Giannis.
Yeah, Greece with that. But Greece hasn't really proved it on this stage with Giannis. They've never done that well at a tournament with Giannis. So, I think a team like Australia has kind of been due. They kind of seem like they're always pretty close, and maybe this year without Giannis, without Jokic, they could go on a run. And of course, with not as strong of a team USA, it'll be interesting to see does Spain and France walk through as easily as normal? Spain will the first round, but that Group H, whatever Group G and H become, where only two of Spain, Canada, Latvia, France come out, that's going to be a bit of a bloodbath. So I think that'll tell you who else has a real good shot. I think Slovenia. I like Slovenia's chances too.
I think they're all right. I think
do you think they're too Luka folk? Yeah.
That's the problem.
It usually is. It usually is not teams like that do well in these. It usually is depth and cohesion.
Exactly. Why do you think we've seen Giannis Greece teams not do super well? They have this massive talent, but it's you need other guys around them because of the way the game is played at the international level.
Luka is on a different level of carrying though for Slovenia. Oh, yeah. It's wild what he does. Yeah, because of it. Because of him before he was even in the draft.
Him and Goran. Yeah,
Goran was awesome in that too. I don't think Goran is playing this year.
I don't think so.
I don't know if he's playing anywhere this year.
He's going to sign with Miami somehow.
In some role. I don't know if it'll be on court, but they've got other point guard issues to iron out there in Miami as well still. But yeah, I'm pretty excited.
It's been, by the way, my theory of it being just holding up on Jaime Jaquez, is that done? Has it been 30 days?
It must have been because the draft was in June, wasn't it? It's mid-August. I guess it would depend when he signed. Let me try and look it up quick.
I don't see
July 1. So, yeah.
So it has been 30 days.
Yes.
Interesting.
Interesting
Very,
indeed.
very interesting.
Let's. It's time, Rohan. We've waited long enough. It's time to talk about the James Harden news. I don't know about you. I woke up and saw this on goodoldx.com, and I didn't believe it. Like it was the first thing I saw.
I thought it was a deep fake.
I totally, it looks like a deep fake. And I was like, Shams tweeted it, and I was like rubbing my eyes. I was like looking, is that really him? Is that a fake? Because it's so easy to do fake accounts now. I was like, it's got 20,000 retweets. No, that is him. That is Shams. Here's the quote, and there's a video as well.
By the way, this is just an Adidas camp.
It's at an Adidas basketball camp in China, which is why it broke in the middle of the night. Somebody asked him a question. He didn't just say it. I thought he just said it to camp. I was like, that's like, how funny would that be?
A bunch of kids that just
Hey kids, listen up. Just so you know.
You guys want some life advice?
If you ever go pro, keep this in mind, kiddos. Quote, Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. This is not me. This is actually his quote. This is the full quote. I'll try to read the whole thing without laughing or interrupting again. So I'm going to restart. He says it twice, which I think is just so funny, dude. Okay, quote. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. End quote. He said it a little louder the second time too. He was like, "Let me make sure everyone gets this." That's so funny to me. He's like, "I don't know if I was clear enough here."
Oh my goodness!
And so the video, for anyone who hasn't seen it, he's just like standing on a basketball court with like the Adidas Harden stuff on it in China, which if you don't know, China's crazy for basketball. Like when Kobe started going over there, like city blocks would shut down. Steph now, NBA stars are huge.
Giannis just did it.
Yeah.
Like part of the offseason tour for all-star players, like with like brand deals, is you have to spend like a week in China.
Yeah. And apparently it looks really fun because the Chinese people are just like so excited about.
Oh yeah. Like it seems credible for them.
Yeah.
Like I know someone who did like a study abroad in China. It was like this was incredible.
Yeah. So he's just there. And he's just in this packed gym, and there's like media and reporters. And then, I think there's just like a bunch of fans and kids around. And I saw another video where it's like I think it was from like a TikTok live or something. And a reporter asked him like, what do you think about, the organization saying like they're not going to trade you? That was the question. And that's exactly how he responded. Like it's not cropped. That's how he started the response to that question is Daryl Morey is a liar and I will never be part of an organization that he's a part of again. So there is more insight that's important here. I believe Bobby Marks tweeted this today. So here's the CBA language for withholding services. A player who withholds playing services called for by a player contract for more than 30 days after the start of the last season covered by his player contract. So if you're in the last year, which Harden is.
If you're on an expiring contract.
Yes.
This is specific to expiring contract. And also, this isn't a new CBA thing. This has been around. For a while.
It just hasn't really come up because this is insane. Shall be deemed to not have completed his player contract. I'm skipping through here. It's really long and boring. But accordingly, such a player shall not be a veteran free agent, shall not be entitled to negotiate or sign a player contract with any other professional basketball team unless and until the team for which the player last played expressly agreed otherwise.
So this dude can't sign in South Sudan.
If he holds out, I don't think he will.
No, he's not going to.
He'll show up. Oh, I think he'll show up. I think he can do more damage if he shows up.
That's fair.
I think he'll be there.
We've touched on this previously, but it's like, I think he will show up. This is gonna be the greatest fat suit of all time.
Yeah, he's gonna be really tubby. He is gonna letharge his way. We saw this with Houston. Even in Houston, when I don't think this pertained to him at the time. Maybe it did. Maybe he was expiring. But like he showed up. He like, I'm going to score 40 points, but somehow care even less than normally, and walk through practices and not do any defense at all versus barely doing any defense like normal. I think he's gonna show up and be a huge problem, and I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, whatever I said about the Sixers last week, I take it back.
I told you. I put them lower than you, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You had them 5th.
Yeah.
And I had them 3rd.
I don't know if Embiid makes it through the year.
I think Embiid is going to request a trade by the deadline.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would you want to deal with this?
No. And also, it begs the question, why no one wants to play with Joel Embiid.
Well, no, listen.
Why not? This is 2 times now.
I mean, I think there's a Morey issue more than an Embiid issue.
I mean, but it also, it could be an Embiid issue. Who knows?
I think we know.
Why?
Because the people tell us why they're unhappy with the Sixers. Well, I mean, Ben Simmons, it was like Doc threw him under the bus. And
Embiid did.
Yeah, I don't think it's an Embiid thing.
It could be, though. You never know.
I mean, maybe. I mean, clearly, people keep the response to this has been really weird to me. Actually,
to be fair, it's been a very weird thing.
It has been, but I just feel like people are leaving out.
Have we ever seen this before?
No, because the situation is more complex. People go, "Oh, if he wanted to get out so bad, why did he opt in?"
Okay, so here's the thing. Here on that, what I believe, this is a random guess.
I don't know if it's right. I think it's probably pretty informed based on what we've heard. But go ahead.
Is that he was going to leave as a free agent?
Yeah.
He was going to sign with Houston.
Yep.
Houston, after they hired Ime Udoka,
yep,
he was like, maybe not James.
I think there's reporting on this. I don't think this is random.
Okay.
I think there's some things out there about this. I mean, clearly, yeah, he thought he had that leverage. That went away. We know what the Rockets did.
Yeah.
We know what the Rockets did. They went for FVV and Brook Lopez and Dylan Brooks.
Yes. So that happens in Houston. There's not a contender or a contract contender lined up.
Yes.
To give him a contract. So he has 2 options. He can either go sign for a mid-level for a 1 year or something.
Yep.
Or he can opt in.
$35 million.
Under the guise hey, if I opt in, you're trading me.
Yeah.
And Daryl Morey, based on James Harden's response, agreed to that.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is before that. I mean, clearly, when he took less on the 1-1 last summer, there was an expectation that the Sixers were going to take care of him the next year. Everyone's saying, clearly he didn't have the offer this year. He thought he did with Houston. That went away. I mean, you look around, the why didn't he opt out question. I think it's just dumb to ask, to be honest. Look, there's 5 teams with cap space. Were the Pacers signing him? I don't think so. Orlando, the Spurs, I think still have cap space. No, no one's giving him that long-term deal. I think he probably he should have signed it and could have signed it last year. I think last year, teams, including the Sixers, would have given it to him. He agreed to take less last year on the 1-1, so they could remember they got in trouble. They got PJ Tucker and Daniel House.
Daniel House, bubble legend.
But I think clearly, not for the right reasons, Daniel House, bubble legend, but clearly there was an expectation, in my opinion, and I don't know how much reporting is out there on this, but they were going to take care of him after he helped them do that. And the CBA changed, and his level of play honestly didn't change that much. He had a pretty good year, all told, but he's old James Harden. Yeah. And the Sixers were like, yeah, we're not going to give it to you. And that's where the Houston stuff came from, his leverage, which then went away when they signed Ime Udoka, and he said, no, we're going to have a real team. I don't know if they really will, but probably closer than if they just gave James Harden a 3-year supermax or something. I don't know.
It's going to be a bad team still.
Yeah, for sure. But I think he's justified in being pissed off because I do think he's losing a ton of money for this and really expecting him to turn down $30 million this year after leaving money on the table last year to sign somewhere else for a mid-level or something. I think it's just kind of stupid. I think it's stupid to imply that he should do that. Let's be realistic. This is the NBA where every player extends to get the money and then asks for the trade. Literally Damian Lillard right now. And as I've talked about when we talked about Dame, no one really complains that much on the team side because it works out better because you still get something for the player. James Harden ended up this offseason, once Houston went away, again, you can count the cap space teams outside of Houston on one hand, and none of them were giving James Harden $35 million or more to play for them. And certainly they weren't giving him long-term deals. Kind of got unlucky that there's not, like, if the Bucks had $30 million in cap space, they probably sign James Harden if he's there, if he's available, right? Like, if there's a good team with that cap space and they would bring him in for a couple years, I don't think he's a Sixer anymore. There wasn't. Like, we looked at it. I mean, the Kings made their cap space. Oh, what are they going to do? We're going to give, why am I blanking? Domantas Sabonis more money. Like, okay, cool. That's pretty inventive way to take away your own cap space you made. Sure. Was that worth a first round pick? I don't know, Kings. Anyway. So I think clearly he's pissed off for that reason. That's why he's calling out Morey specifically. I don't think it's about this trade as much as it is like he's now lost a bunch of money and can't be extended. So he's going to have no financial security until next season at the earliest, if ever, to help out the Sixers, who the moves that they made were not that good. Like at the time, I didn't think PJ was a great fit there. Daniel House is not a good player. Like James Harden took less money to accommodate Daniel House. He's not good. He doesn't play that much. And now he's not getting any additional money from the Sixers. So he's just trying to get whatever he can and work it out. But there's just no easy answer here. So he kind of trusted too much and left too much on the table. And I think if you're an NBA player seeing this, you're gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna take every extension I can get. Because if you don't and things go wrong for you, look at the situation. Like look at Lillard versus Harden right now. And I'm not saying it's the same. Like Lillard's clearly better, and I think the Heat would have interest anyway. But, you know, if you're in a situation where you have like a player option or you can opt out to a team with no cap space or you opt in and you can't be extended and, you know, whatever, all this leverage trade stuff, it's a mess. And you'd much rather have $200 million coming than $35 million. So I certainly see why Harden's doing it. Am I taking his side? No. I mean, of course, he's like the ultimate team cancer and this was always going to happen. But also the Sixers knew this when they traded for him. Like, he was doing the same thing to Brooklyn. It's not like you can say, "Oh, this came out of nowhere." How could the Sixers?
Third time.
How could the Sixers have expected not giving him the money they said they were going to give him would end badly? Like literally, this happened to your team with Ben Simmons. It wasn't about money. It was just about like you kind of broke him on a spiritual level. So congrats. But then you saw this happen with Brooklyn. Like the guy wants to play for a contender and get paid a lot, which is not an unreasonable thing for an NBA star to want. But clearly,
it's every
yeah, it's pretty much all of them want. But or sometimes to play in a big market or a warm city as well, which Philly is one of those. But yeah, I think it's just hilarious. Like I think I see where both sides are coming from. You know, I was tweeting with Brian Toporek, who covers the Sixers in the NBA and is very smart, and he's like, yeah, of course something changed. Like the the new CBA and the second apron, and it's like, yeah, do I expect James Harden to give a shit though? Like, do I think you're going to, James, you understand, right? Like, we don't want to be above the second apron. No, he doesn't care. This is his bank account. Like, why does he care about?
Yeah, why would he care about?
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Like, exactly.
I really want the Sixers to have a good first round pick in 2031. Of course, I'll take less money.
And also, like these are the things that need to be factored in if you're the Sixers front office. Like, you need to take these things into consideration when talking to your players. But like, this is a fucking mess.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's
This is Daryl Morey's MO. Like this happens over and over and over on his teams.
Ridiculous. Like the amount of just absolute batshit crazy stuff that has happened to the Philadelphia 76ers over the past like 5 more than 5 years.
Not all of that is Morey. Their organization also is just like they just have a track record.
What's happening to the Sixers? How have they not made it to a conference finals? Like
they never will.
Like what? How are you this incompetent at running a sports franchise?
Yeah.
Like the Bucks won a title. Like, are you kidding me? The Sixers can't do anything right. Like,
yeah.
How has all of this led to this? Like, the point A to point B storytelling of the Philadelphia 76ers is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I think someone had tweeted it out. I'm trying to scroll through X.com to find it. All I'm finding are these weird videos, maybe on the wrong website.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. But it's like, yeah, you trade your 21-year-old all-star so you can tank.
Yep.
And then you tank, you draft like 3 centers in a row. You draft a guy who can't play. You make a weird trade to get the number 1 overall pick for a guy who can't play.
Oh, who's the first guy you can't play?
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm getting it.
I mean, they've drafted a couple. I mean, they drafted Jahlil Okafor. There's been multiple guys who can't play drafted by the Sixers, but
It's crazy. And then you finally hit on one. You hit on one. Oh, he can't play. Joel Embiid could not play his first 2 years.
Yep.
You hit. You actually get a hit. Ben Simmons in his time was a hit. Those were two very, very good, talented players. You trade for Jimmy Butler. You have this incredible team. You also have Tobias Harris on that team, and you lose in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Hilariously.
Literally the last second of the second round, and you lose. And your response is to trade the guy who was making the most perimeter shots on your team.
They let him walk. Or was it a sign and trade?
It was a sign and trade.
But they got nothing back, basically.
They got Josh Richardson and
Jonathan Simmons?
Yeah,
Jonathan Simmons. I remember at the time.
He was in the Fultz trade.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I remember at the time people were like, "Oh, that's a good wing player." I was like, "He shoots 22% every year." Stop lying.
Jonathan Simmons is a good story. He paid for his
D-League tryout. Yeah, he paid $250. Made the Spurs. The Magic then gave him a bag that was instantly stupid, and then the Sixers took him for Fultz. You're right.
And it's you trade your best perimeter shot maker who was just better than Embiid in that postseason series. I mean, technically, Embiid was the more impactful player. I don't know. They got killed in Embiid.
They're always minus 10,000 when he sits. Always, every year.
And you do that. And then you're just here with Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. You lose in the second round into the Hawks on your home floor in Game 7.
So funny.
And you just throw one of your players under the bus, who then demands a trade because it's my entire franchise just threw me under the bus.
Yeah.
You trade for another disgruntled star who, again, you can't get out of the second round. And then he demands a trade because he doesn't get the money that you promised him.
Allegedly.
How? How does this happen?
I mean, it's toxic. It's a toxic, and it's funny. It's got to be frustrating for Sixers fans, who I don't feel bad for.
I forgot about Brian Colangelo was in there.
Find a new slant. Too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's trashing Embiid on Twitter burners. It's crazy.
Ever since they took a bus to boo Malcolm Brogdon and he didn't play, and who'd they boo? Tony Snell.
You
the most likable.
Wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
You went and booed Tony Snell. So I agree with the point you were trying to
say.
I don't feel bad for Sixers.
But I think they've changed owners. Has it been Harris this whole time?
No, it was a group. It was Harris and Rubin, I think, and then Rubin left.
Yeah, but it's just toxic. It's always been toxic. They've always just had poor decision making, and they've never, outside of Embiid, there's been no constant. So it is not a good look on Embiid. The fact that their franchise is always just in tatters, and I think you compare it to the Bucks, who certainly have had their ups and downs and a lot of really tough downs the last couple of years.
The Bucks chose a GM.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. How they ended up with Horst? Yeah. Yeah, they wanted Zanuck, and the owners couldn't agree, and then it was just okay,
Horst. They won
a
title.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the Lakers. You
can't even make the conference finals.
The Lakers won a title at Disney World.
The Lakers won a title at Disney World.
I mean, the Warriors played Punch-Out 2 months after winning a title with their decrepit core.
The Warriors forced Kevin Durant out of town and won a title.
The Warriors did a 2 timelines thing, and it collapsed, and all the kids sucked, and they still won one.
I don't get it. The only quote unquote normal franchise that's won a title recently is the Nuggets.
Yeah, the Nuggets are just whatever. They were imagine if it was the Sixers, right? Let's say just the Sixers, drop in that whole situation.
Jamal Murray would be in China.
I'm saying they're not making it through. They would have cut off Jamal Murray's arm. They would have put a steel rod sticking out of Michael Porter Jr.'s back. Their medical staff would have killed those guys, and they wouldn't have the Nuggets. The biggest thing about the Nuggets, I think, the 2 lessons are I'll just keep adding wing players. You can't have enough. You don't know, who's going to play well or not play well if it's role players on a given year. Just keep adding them. I think that's kind of what they did once they got their 3 players in place. Really 2 players. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. at this point is more of an elite role player than a star, in my opinion. So they're just let's just keep adding wing players to Murray and Jokic, and if they're healthy, we can win. And they did. And the second thing is just the intestinal fortitude to not blow it up when things go bad and guys get hurt and everything else. And I think the Sixers have never like what's the most consistency the Sixers have had since Embiid got good? Like, have they had the same core for 2 straight years?
No, I think
Like,
they
was
had
this
Harden.
is that the most? Like Harden for 2 years?
No, it was 1.5 years. They got him at the trade deadline.
Yeah. Like the Tobias, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, that was only a year, right? Was that half a year?
Half a season. They got him at the deadline.
I mean, before that, it was like
Before the deadline.
or before Jimmy, right? Didn't they had that lineup they probably used for like 2 years of was it Simmons?
Didn't they get Tobias at the previous deadline?
They might have. I mean, I think it's 2 years max. They've had like even like because it's like one player moving, but it's like a core player every year and a half basically. Like, of course they don't have any consistency. Of course they're not going on deep playoff runs. It's really hard. Like, look at the Suns. Like the Suns this year. Oh, we have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Like, oh, we could do anything. It's just really hard to win, like putting it together on the fly. Like even this coming year, it's going to be a little rushed, but I think it's a little easier for them to figure out than the Sixers because kind of like the Bucks, honestly, when one of your players is like so post heavy, I think it's harder to figure out how to play for other guys. Like it's hard to adjust to Embiid. And now they're going to be, again, just totally redoing the whole thing. I just think it's really hard to win consistently like that, especially in the playoffs.
It's so funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
You know what I just saw on the timeline? It was is that picture of like remember when they traded for Harden and like Daryl Morey greeted him at the airport and gave him a
on the
big
tarmac,
hug. Yeah, it's like okay, well that's not happening again. Also, I don't think we touched on this enough that a player has called out a president of basketball operations.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that this is happening.
Like, I don't think we've ever seen that happen. Like, we've never seen a direct shot like this.
We probably have.
A direct shot saying, hey, by the way.
Dude, some crazy stuff has happened over the years in the NBA. I don't know if I can recall one right now, but I mean, there's like
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, I'm sure guys in the 90s. And I mean, you know, there's been a lot of discontented players. NBA. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had. I mean, this direct is pretty wild.
It's just the funniest part is it's just that he's doing this at a kid's camp.
I know. I know.
It's just,
if there's one thing you should learn, kids, is don't trust Daryl Morey. It's like a Chappelle skit. It really is.
It's like these poor Chinese kids just want to learn, and it's just like, hey, like we're at this camp, like James, we presumably paid a lot of money to be here.
Yeah,
and it's like James Harden teaches about basketball. Okay, kids, Daryl Morey is not the person to trust.
He's not wrong.
It's crazy. This is crazy. Like the Sixers hired Daryl Morey so they could get James Harden.
Yeah,
like people thought it was the long game when Daryl Morey traded James Harden to Brooklyn so Philly could get him for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And now this happens. Like
it's the real long. It's going to be the really long game now for Philly.
Also, we didn't even touch upon the fact that like Philly said they're like we're just not going to we're stopping trade talks, which prompted this.
Yep.
It's like why would you just announce that?
Well, I think they tried to spin it as like, yeah, we're going to bring him in the season. We're excited, and he's like, just so you know, no. I think he'll be there. I don't think maybe he'll wait 29 days or whatever to make it as awkward as possible. I think he'll show up. I think it's going to be really bad.
He'll show up on the last day possible.
Yeah,
and he'll just he won't even have a uniform on.
Tremendous fat suit. Like actually, the uniform doesn't fit anymore. Can you make a bigger one? Can you
he has like one uniform on, but then he has like a second uniform just like tied across his waist. But it's tied in the back so you don't see his phone.
It's just like taped on his back. He's like, actually, I need 4X or 5X, I think, to get in here. It's gonna be. I
he's
can't
gonna have
wait.
his phone on him and practice like Ben Simmons did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's not even, and Doc's not there, so it might be. Oh my God, Nick Nurse is gonna have to.
Nick Nurse. Yeah, one of the Raptors reporters tweeted I think it was Chris Walder tweeted a picture of like exasperated Nick Nurse face from a press conference. And it was like him watching this, and they like superimposed it over the Harden clip, and he's just like, "It's gonna be so." This is like, Nick
Nurse is either gonna quit or he's gonna kill James Harden. Those are the only two options.
I just love that at this sensitive point in their franchise, they go, who do we need steering this thing? Nick Nurse.
This might be an ownership thing.
I think it is. For sure it is.
Like Sixers fans should be like, they should be like the A's fans and just start chanting "sell the team."
Yeah. But they love their Fanatics guy. Or is he not Fanatics?
No,
he
the
is,
Fanatics
right?
guy left.
That he's the one who left.
Yeah.
What does Harris do?
Owns the Commanders?
Well, yeah, I knew that now. That's not how he made his money. I thought, is he also not? Is he something else?
I'm looking.
Yeah. Anyway.
Josh Harris is the managing partner of the Sixers, Devils, and now the...
Is it just like, is it like a hedge fund or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, that's boring.
Yeah, it's really boring.
Yeah.
He's a private equity investor.
That explains a lot.
Sports team owner and philanthropist.
It's a good job to have.
Yeah. My job is just money.
Yeah. Anyway.
This guy looks like a nerd. Sorry, Josh Harris.
He did hire Daryl Morey.
Yeah. Is Daryl Morey's stock ever been lower?
No.
People used to think he was like one of the great GMs.
People still think that.
It's not true.
I
think
agree.
There's a real David Griffin thing happening here.
I think Griff is better.
I mean, Griff it's like he's not considered one of the best GMs in the league anymore, though.
No, but I just think like Morey has literally never, like, since we started watching basketball, since like they got Harden.
Okay, first of all, before you continue, I want to see the biggest piece of propaganda in this Josh Harris Wikipedia article.
Oh, really?
Early life and education. He managed a few lemonade stands in Washington, D.C. during his freshman and sophomore summer vacation, including one at the National Zoo.
Wow.
Like, just get out of here. Continue.
But even if you go back to the Harden Rockets, it was the same deal. They had a team for like 2 years at a time. And then James, and I think it's a lot of this is Harden too, but I think Morey like just cycles through like whoever's going to be next to the star. It was Dwight Howard for 2 years. It was Chris Paul for 2 years. And they were really successful in the Chris Paul one. But like if you're overseeing franchises over like a decade plus and you can never keep a core together for more than 2 years, that's a red flag on you too. You can't just blame the players every single time. And I just think that's been the issue with all of his teams is like either they say the players are getting old or whatever, or they just can't coexist anymore. And instead of like figuring it out, okay, we'll punt the second guy and make the first guy happy. But I just think it's really hard to win a championship when you do that.
It really is. Like it's so hard to win when like what did we even talk about with all of these FIBA teams? Like a lot of the success is due to consistency,
continuity.
Like when it's worked one time, and that's the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, but even then, that was like they had the continuity of like a whole core, and then they dropped in Kawhi. I get they added guys I think they added Mark that
Gasol,
year too. Yeah.
They traded for Serge. Like they traded away DeMar.
Yeah, that's true. Like, they broke up a lot, but they
still had Lowry.
They didn't put together a super team on the fly. They had Lowry. They had Pascal Siakam, who was good.
Siakam wasn't even like that good then, though.
He played pretty well in the playoffs. I mean, he was a good player. I mean, they had FVV on the bench. They had OG who was hurt. Yeah.
And it's like now these guys, but it's like I don't think you can say like, oh, that talent was there because they've gotten better as they've gotten older. Because that was like 4 years ago now.
Yep.
Crazy. But yeah, it's just it's worked one time. Like think about it. Like the Nets and Clippers couldn't replicate it.
No.
Not even close.
What do you think happens with Harden?
I think they trade him. I think because that's just what happens. Like the guy gets traded.
But to who?
He's going to go to the Clippers for pennies on the dollar. It's going to be Markieff Morris.
Not the Bucks?
Marcus Morris. Is it it's Marcus Morris.
Yeah, Marcus, yeah.
It's not to the Bucks. No.
Not to the Bucks?
No. I wouldn't mind it.
I mean...
If it's for nothing, yeah.
Well, that's the problem, though. The Bucks don't have nothing.
Give me a free Jim Harden.
It's got to be either a core player or... Grayson, Pat, Bobby. And that's pretty much the only ways it works. I looked again today. They just don't have enough meaningless salary.
Which is probably a good thing.
It's good, yeah. I mean, they have a good team.
Like, this team is very good.
I agree. Yeah.
This makes me feel so much better about the Bucks.
I mean, yeah, look at the East. I mean, and now like the other news, you touched on it, but like Porzingis is maybe going to have to sit out with a foot injury for Latvia right after signing that extension with Boston. That's not a chemistry thing, but that's clearly not ideal for the Celtics' perspective moving forward. The Heat,
Damian Lillard is still not a member of the Miami Heat. He's still a member of the Portland Trailblazers.
As I said last time we talked about it, the longer it goes on, the more chance he goes somewhere else. Because literally for this like what we're seeing with Philly, like, okay, do they finally get motivated and go, listen, ship Harden to the Clippers and get some stuff, take Maxey, whatever else salary, whatever picks. Like we need to get out of here. I need to make sure Embiid doesn't ask out. We will trade for Damian Lillard. Like that's the kind of situation that spurs more action. And then, that would suck Lillard and Harden. They'd find a way to ruin it though. And then the Heat are just like kind of left holding the bag and just being worse than last year. So it's a fascinating time in the league, and I'm not mad that the Bucks just have like a good rotation locked in, a new coach, new schemes that everyone seems very excited about. I'll say this. I should have said this earlier. This is a Bucks thing very late on the pod. Malik Beasley's IG stories. I'm a sucker because I'm all in. Like he's doing all these like dribbling workouts. Like he's posting a lot of it. Like it looks good with the ball in his hands. He's posting how he does in the shooting drills. Like we already mentioned he broke the record that Grayson had set. He's hit like 90 some out of 100. Like he's working on his handle like every day. He's either in the Bucks facility or working with his trainers. Like I think we're going to see someone who's extremely motivated, clearly needs to prove that he's still a good player in the league and get paid this year. I think he's going to have a good season. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, I just think the Bucks, people consider their summer boring. I think it was a very good summer, and I'd much rather have boring than the kind of exciting that Philly's having right now. That is for sure.
What was the Sixers offseason? They signed 3 centers.
Yeah. And then one's hurt, and now this.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. You can't control for that.
Yeah, that's sorry, Montrez. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
Get
Trez.
well soon.
But like, you re-sign Trez, you re-sign.
You match the B-ball Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's just the amount of shilling that Shams does for B-ball Paul is kind of.
I know.
And then Mo Bamba.
Oh yeah. You get trolled by the Jazz.
Oh yeah.
The offer sheet where his contract fully guarantees if they make the second round but not the third round. And it's like, yeah, we assume they'll make it that far. They might not this year. We'll see.
Are they going to make the playoffs this year?
Yes.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they didn't though?
It'd be very funny. They probably owe someone a pick. I mean, that would be really funny. Imagine their pick wins the lottery and it's not theirs.
Oh my god!
I actually don't know if they owe someone a pick. I think they might owe Brooklyn a pick. I know they owe Brooklyn some stuff, right? Yeah. Didn't they have to give up stuff in the Harden trade?
I think it was like 2 or 3 picks.
I think they just had 2.
Swap?
Oh. Uh-oh. I made noise. Sorry, everyone listening. I did a search and I typed something in wrong and it made noise. Newmark showed me how to turn off any other computer sound besides my mic or Zoom, and I blew it. I haven't done it. So Newmark's got one over on me here.
I didn't hear it, so that's specific.
No, you didn't hear it. Well, every listener heard it. No, they have their own pick next year. Then they have a top protected in 25 going out, and 27 goes to Brooklyn. They have protection on all of them, though, so they won't give up the first overall pick. But they could still give up a good pick, which would be very funny.
It would be very, very, very funny. But it's just like I'm so excited to be on Twitter for this. Like, yeah,
X.com.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? Something. This is. Thank you, Shamit at Fear the Brown for reminding me about this. Tyrese Maxey's rookie extension has not been signed because of this.
This is but it's also because they want that, like, their whole thing is cap space next year, which like is not how anything works anymore.
No, it's they can have a max of, I believe, $32 million in cap space or something like that projected.
No, they can have more than that, but they can't.
It's not too max.
No, it's not too max. They were lying when they said that, but it's to the same idea I talked about of like not valuing relationships, which is the Morey problem. People go, oh, he's not going to leave like that year, like he'll be restricted. Yeah, that's fine.
You know who players kind of like in the league? James Harden.
Well, just not even that. Just like this is a whole other situation. Like not giving Maxey that max extension, which I think he's clearly earned. Like, will it make sure they can't keep him next summer? No. Like, he'll be restricted. That's fine. But that's the kind that players remember. Players don't appreciate that when an organization makes them hold out for that money. Because what if, certainly hope it doesn't happen, of course. Tyrese Maxey gets hurt badly. Like, could be devastating for him and his earning potential. Like, players want to lock that in when they've earned the max. And I just think everything the Sixers do points to, like, valuing, like, every little strategic advantage over the relationships. I think you look at the teams who win, they don't operate that way.
You know what's fun?
What?
It's just like all of this started on Christmas last year.
What was Christmas?
Woj tweeted that All-Star guard James Harden is seriously considering a return to the Houston Rockets.
That was on Christmas?
That was on Christmas.
Wow. And that, I remember the running joke last year was like, yeah, that's actually a pretty tame season for the Sixers. A guy might leave after the year. That's light work.
Easy money.
But I remember I equated it.
James, though.
I equated it. Yeah, unfortunately, imagine if that came out about Chris Middleton, we'd be sobbing. That would break us.
I'd be in tears every podcast.
Yeah, like that's just the level of chaos that they're accustomed to versus the Bucks, where it's like, I'm still mad at Serge. I tweeted angrily at Serge Ibaka 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Like, sorry, Thon. Like,
you got to be careful about Thon though, because we've seen in that game. If we're talking about NBA players who fight, like you're at the Oak Creek Mire. Suddenly, there's a
Hostile.
7 foot high foot flying at you. You could probably
the Oak Creek Mire the other day.
Oh, see? Did you see any
Admiral?
NBA players there? Yeah, was Admiral there?
I didn't.
Admiral Schofield should listen to one episode of this podcast and be like, what the hell?
Why would I be what's Oak Creek?
Why would I fight this guy? Why would I be fighting? This guy seems pretty nice. Why would I fight this guy?
Oh, man. He'll probably watch the YouTube video. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, okay. It's really just because he's jacked. That's the whole bit.
Yeah, and I don't want to fight. Like, if you're listening to this, Admiral, the bit is that I don't want to fight you because you're in very good shape.
Is there an NBA player you do want to fight?
No.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
What NBA? What player? If you had to fight an NBA player, who would you fight?
See, I've always given the answer of like a competition or something. Like, I would go with Giannis because I just think he's too nice that he wouldn't kill me. But if I really had to, I don't know. Like, I feel like the shorter guys are so scrappy that there's not really a good answer.
Yeah, you really can't create an advantage with your being smaller than them.
No, and I'm only going to be like an inch taller max. Like, it's not like there's like a 5'4" guy I can pick here.
Yeah, and they're going to be strong as an option.
And I just think scrappy. Like they've been the small guy in their field for so long. I'd say probably like a big, like probably uncoordinated guy.
Andre Drummond.
No. I think he's a really good athlete. No, I would think like. Not Boban either, because he's too big. I mean, yeah, I think Sim, like, you could just take him down and just kind of like grapple and then call it.
I think Sabula is like 300 pounds, though.
So you gotta you just knock him over and run.
How are you gonna knock him over?
Run into his knee. Not to hurt him, but just to knock him over.
Just go full side into his knee.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much
tear his ACL.
No. I'm knocking him backwards.
Hey, if it's a fight, it's a fight. Things happen.
That's true. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but if I had to fight Simbula, I mean my shoulder's probably at his hip. Like I would just try and get him down, and then I would run because obviously it's like the mountain fight on Game of Thrones. Like if he catches me, I'm done.
Yeah, and on that note, let's wrap up.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on GSPN and Blue Wire. Make sure you check out gspn.info for all of our links, like Ty mentioned earlier. We're going to be talking to you guys about the World Cup coming up and all things NBA. We'll follow these Harden Lillard fiascos as they happen. Pod random, and we'll talk to you next time.